Hey everyone, it's Connor and
Michael from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, bringing you the best bullion coins and bars shipped to you worldwide from Melbourne in Australia. What are we doing, Connor?
well, we got a little bit of gold.
We do. So this was a buyback, and I hinted at this on the live stream on Friday. We bought back some of these fantastic. We'll do some B-roll so you can get a close up. Don't strain your eyes on your screen now. But these beautiful 1 ounce minted bars from the Perth Mint. Now these ones are amazing actually because I haven't seen them for years. They are the original first edition of the Perth Mint minted bars, which looks far different to what we would see nowadays in the black tamper evident casing. So we thought we'd actually highlight a couple of iterations of what Perth Mint's done. So we've got this original green one that we've shown, and you can see it's a very basic blank. It's actually completely blank on the back. It's got the left-facing swan on it with the it's a ribbon.
We're pretty sure that's a ribbon, not a snake. That's we're pretty sure.
Yeah, no, we're fairly sure that's the ribbon, not the snake. So they used to come in fairly basic packaging. It's just heat sealed, not shrink wrapped, but heat sealed. Yeah, it has the signature of the chief assayer on the back. They're not serialised, they're not anything. They're just a really basic stamped minted bar. Actually, Connor, do you know the difference between a minted and a cast bar before we go too much further?
Minted, they stamp it, whereas cast, they pour it into the mould. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's poured, the cast bar is poured effectively into a cake tin, let it cool and then tipped out. Whereas the minted bar, as you said, it's just stamped out of a sheet of gold as it goes through the system.
Which do you prefer out of the two of those?
I like the cast bar better.
Why?
Because I'm tactile. So the minted bars generally come in plasticised packaging and you can't touch it.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can always tear one open, but it defeats the purpose of having a minted bar in its packaging. So the cast bar is my favourite, I'm afraid, and they're just a bit more basic and agricultural, I suppose. So that's me all over.
Bit more traditional.
Yeah. So you've got the beautiful green one, as opposed to the second iteration where they did this green packaging. And that's where they started to move towards what became the tamper evident packaging. So this was called a certicard back in the day. But it then started to give you some basic details of what it was on the back and actually gave you a serial number. So this was the first time they kind of serialised their minted bars.
What year was this?
Oh, it'd be early 2000s we went to this.
So that was the first time they numbered and put serial numbers on their bars in the early 2000s?
Well, they still never put it on the bar. They actually only put it on the packaging on the outside.
Okay.
Which is still what they do to this day. They still don't serialise the bar itself. It's just the packaging. But it's this kind of basic plain certicard sealed in. Still nothing on the back. People would be used to the modern one, which has got all the kangaroos on the back. But still just a plain sheet that it's been stamped out of with, again, at some point during this time, they actually changed to the right-facing swan on their stamp. So a really basic bar, but still quite nice in its own way. But then they moved to what we see nowadays, and there's actually been a couple of iterations within this black plastic one. There's been at least two, but I think there's actually been 3 different variations. And again, they just took it to the next level with this one where it's still got the right-facing swan on it with Perth Mint stamped all over it quite nicely. And then on the back, it's got all the details of the bar plus the serial number. Now, they dropped the signature of the assayer when they went to the black. So there was still the signature of the assayer. You can see it on the green one. And then when they went to the black, they ditched his signature.
What was the purpose of that? Was there a...
I have no idea. We'd have to ask Perth.
Anyone in the comments, let us know. Why did they drop the signature?
Possibly because they didn't want to keep updating the signature every time one of them left, would be my guess, but I don't know. Because it's now just stamped with a, this has been assayed type thing. They went to the bar with the kangaroos on the back for security reasons. It made it harder to forge, in their opinion.
Did you get a lot of forgeries in the older bars, or
not so much in the older bars? But we certainly did. We certainly do in these, which is why you need to be careful with them. And hopefully, I can get Connor to link to our our fakes versus real video we did probably 18 months ago now, might even be 2 years, where we actually showed a couple of these in fakes and how to spot the difference between the two. So if you could link that somewhere above my head, that would be great, Connor.
Done.
But they also went to the packaging, and I haven't got one here, I'm not going to open this one, where if you actually open the package at all, it comes up with void all around the back of the bar. Now that doesn't mean the bar's void. What it means is the tamper evident packaging is now void, so they're not guaranteeing that something hasn't been done to that bar that's inside there.
Or someone might have swapped out.
Possibly, or scratched it, or fingerprinted it, or, you know, a million and one things that you could do to it. Look, I've got to be honest, when we see the void on there, I've yet to see one where someone's actually done something to it. It's usually just, it's been handled a bit clumsily and the packaging has come apart over time, sort of thing. So it never really worries me when I see it, because we XRF them anyway. And if you've ever got one that says void and you want it checked, just bring it into the shop and we'll check it out for you. So give it the XRF. So that's kind of the three main iterations that there was of the Perth Mint Minted Bar. There was one more, and unfortunately I don't have one here, and it's called the Orianna Bar. And they only did that one for 2 years. And it's a beautiful bar. If you can ever get hold of one, grab them, because they just look fantastic with the design on them, the packaging around them. They are fantastic. We do get them through the store very occasionally, but it is very occasionally. And they sell pretty much instantly because they are a beautiful bar. But it's very rare that we actually get all of the 3 or 4 main generations of Perth Mint, and we just had this opportunity with these beautiful ones sold back. And I don't think I've ever seen them since we were selling them brand new. I don't think I've ever seen them in this condition with the packaging this good. So this is a very epic buybacking with these, and they will be available for sale in the store in the buybacks, but yeah, only really available over the counter. We won't list them on the web or anything along those sort of lines because we get killed in the rush.
So if anyone wants to have a look at the buyback stuff, they have to come into the store and have a look at it physically, because it won't be specifically individually listed on the website. And
look, buybacks, just as a word of warning, buybacks generally are lucky dip. If you buy a buyback, you don't say, oh, you know, have you got a XYZ in there? Have you got, you know, this or that? I'll only buy it if... No, buybacks are buybacks. It's lucky dip, which is why they're a bit cheaper. So sometimes you get something extra special like this, and sometimes you get a mouldy old bar from, you know, who knows when. One of the bars, unfortunately, we had to open to test it because it wasn't reading properly, so there is one outside of its packaging, but they look fantastic. I actually prefer them outside their packaging.
Yeah.
But having said that, as a collector, it's a real shame to take rip the packaging. But yeah, that's the story of the Perth Minted Bar, something you don't see every day, but we thought we'd just let people know if they come across the different colours or different iterations, it doesn't mean it's a fake, it just means that it may be from a different part of the Perth Mint's history.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for talking to us about that one there, Michael.
No stress.
That's all from me.
And from me too.
See you next time.
See ya.